Welcome back, friends, to the homestead, or the soon-to-be homestead. So today we start setting up the shop, laying things out. This is really important because how your workflow, how you lay things out really dictates your workflow and how efficient you can be. So for every shop I've ever done, I start with two things, the workbench and the compressor. So you see behind me, we've got both here, drug over from the old shop. Let's get them unloaded, set them in place, and then we'll walk around and talk about a few options and see if we can't nail it down. I gotta show you guys something that Jariah taught me when we were packing up with these ratchet straps. You ever have trouble trying to figure out what to do with the tails? You guys that are truckers probably already know this. It was so simple and it worked so well. So here's what you do. So when you've got these long tails, like this, what you do is you roll them up. Hopefully I can remember how to do this. Roll them up into kind of a donut like this, right? Spread it open. You take the loop there and you go inside like that, and you got a loop coming through, right? I got maybe a little bit close. Yeah, I got too close. Let me back it off a little bit. One less there. So you take this there, put your fingers in it, go through, make a loop, just coming through, right? And then open this loop, and that will go around like that. And pull that tight, and you got a good knot right there. You don't have to worry or try to tuck them up underneath anything. Actually, I did this up on the adventure van of my canoes, and had it up there for a week, driving, flapping in the wind, and not one of them came. How many man hours do you think are wasted in America every day because of incompetence? All right, the workbench, the most important thing of your shop, the very first thing you can do, unless you like working on the ground, right? That's where you want to start. A lot to think about. Think about, when you think about shops, think about places that have really refined efficiency. Kitchens. Kitchens are the main thing. The most effective, most efficient use of a kitchen is a galley kitchen, meaning that you have a bench and you're working in between. So you work here, you turn, and you have access to your freezers or whatever you're doing, that galley kitchen. Look at a submarine and how a submarine kitchen's laid out. It's laid out in that galley space. And so you want to kind of think about that. Your bench is the thing that you want it to be the easiest to get to. And for me, I always like to have it located closest to the door. Why that is, you come in, you may not be working in the shop, but you come in and you need to cut something. What you need access to is you need access to that vise, and you need it quickly. So you want it to be as close to the door as possible. Not on the other side of the room where you have to wade through junk and go around a car to get to. So think about that. Now you can see here a vise is going to be on the wrong side. We're going to have to move that. We'll patch those holes and flop everything over. Not a big deal. I'm not mounting this today. We're just laying out and just some things to think about when you're picking the space. My dad and I were out here for a couple hours yesterday, and we just sat and just talked about what are we going to do, what do we need, and how we're going to lay that out. It's really important, if you haven't done this before, get a friend in there. You know, the good book says that there's safety in a multitude of counselors. Sometimes you get real tunnel vision on something and you think, yeah, I want it this way. Get some other perspectives from guys that you trust that have worked in shops that know, and just make sure you're making the right decisions. So we had to kind of decide, what do I want this shop to be for? I was a little dismayed when I first moved in here because we're going from a 40 by 60 to a 40 by 40, and I was looking at all the pallet racking and all the storage, and it just really dawned on me it's impossible to have everything in here, because this is kind of my workspace. This place that we're at now is going to have harsher winters than we did at the last place, so we're going to be in here doing a lot of projects and making content in this shop. It's going to be, but it's got to be a combination of metal shop, wood shop, blacksmith shop, saw filing shop, all of those things. And I've got to be able to have room to work and to make content. And it's got to be seamless and easy without breaking down and setting up all the time. So what we came up with is it's impossible to store everything that we need to store out of cover and work in here like a studio. So we're going to put up a 40 by 60 pole barn. I contacted a guy, we're making arrangements now, we'll figure out what it's going to be, but what it's going to be is this is essentially going to be our shop, our studio where we're going to work, and the 40 by 60, just a real inexpensive building, no concrete floor or anything, just the stuff to keep stuff in out of the weather. So that took a huge burden off me, because I didn't have to try to figure out how to make a relatively small space fit for everything. It's completely liberating. So here's what we're going to do. Have you seen a Hollywood soundstage? You've probably seen them before. I Love Lucy, for example. If you go and you look it up, it's a classic example where the television program was shot in the bedroom and then the living room, and then they had Desi's Club, right? That whole thing. Well, all of that, they didn't have multiple buildings. All of that is essentially built out in one big room divided by just plywood walls. And so what we want to do, there's four main things. We want to have a metal fabricating area, which is going to be right there. We want to have our traditional woodworking shop, right, where like we had at the old shop with all the hand planes and the saws and all those things. We want to have that set up there. I want to have a blacksmithing section where we can have the forge and the blowers and the anvil permanently set up with all the tools, so that every time you want to do something, you're not like, oh, I got to pull all that stuff out of storage and you've got a couple hours just setting up. What I find is there's a lot of times that I want to go make something or punch a hole in something, and I just don't end up doing it because just the thought of trying to get everything set up is just too daunting. So having everything set up ready to go all the time. Same thing with crosscut saw filing. I have my saw filing bench it's one of the things I love doing. I haven't done it for years because I just didn't have a place to set it up, and the thought of breaking it down, setting it up, is you just don't end up doing it. And that's kind of what we're thinking. So here's the concept. This is 40 feet across here, right? I'm going to do a wood wall. I'm ordering it today. We're going to do 2x6 select deck. That's like a 2x6 with a tongue and groove on it. And I'm going to get them 12 feet high, and we're going to stand them up vertically, and we're going to wrap this whole thing with it. Now we've got a good 1.5 inches of wood that we can bolt cabinets to. We can do anything we want to, and it's going to be work perfectly to fit on those, is it the Gerts? I forget. Purlins? I don't remember which one's a purlin and which one's a Gert. And so right here will be the woodworking shop. Let me bring you over here closer. Now imagine the fabricating metal shop and the welders and all that stopping somewhere in here. And from here, now this is basically going to be like the little wood shop. It's almost the same size as the one that we've been working in at the old place forever. And with the wood wrapped around here and stopping right here. Now all of the hand planes and the saws and all of the tools and my Carpenter bench that I built, I have it here kind of broke down, we'll set up right here, and this is where we'll do the woodworking stuff. So we can go from metal fabricating right over here to woodworking with plenty of walk around space, which is really important when you're trying to film content as well, because you have tripods and lights that go around and giving us lots of space. The other thing that was really kind of a bummer is that I had the wood shop and the metal shop in two separate buildings in the other place. And let's say I wanted to cut a 2x4 or something, and in the metal shop I got to walk, 300 feet, go through a door, up some stairs, and I just don't have multiples of tools. Now having everything in one space is just a couple steps over to do woodworking project or to do fabricating metalwork. So this here will be built out, and what you guys will kind of see once the camera's up here and the wood bench is up, it'll look almost identical to what we had at the other shop. It'll look like we're inside of a little building, but here I have on the back side a massive area for lights and tripods and everything, so I can give good quality lighting and so that the videos are nice to watch. Now we have to deal with this pressure tank, so I'll show you what we're talking about doing over here. Now the wood shop is going to stop right here. We've got a pressure tank that's sticking out that we need to be able to have access to, that's pushing out here quite a ways. We're going to build a wall out here about 5 feet, come out like this, and then go almost all the way to the end. Now this is going to leave 5 feet of a kind of a closet space in the back that we can use for storing things like paints, extra materials. I'll have all of my stock, you know, the wood that I'm having, the hardwood stuff, the fir that I use on the woodworking projects will be back there drying, and it'll be out of sight, but there'll be a 5-foot walkway. Now, imagine that wall being right here, just a complete smooth wall, and then the blacksmith shop or the saw filing shop right here. So we could have our anvil and our forge set up here, and maybe a couple feet over here we'll have the big saw filing cabinet, or the vise where we'll do this cross-cut saw filing. But everything's set up and the tools in place, and just there's no setup in breakdown. There's also room right here. We've got that big compressor. We'll put the compressor right here, and that's basically going to come to the inside of the wall, and then now that compressor is going to be quite a bit less noisy. So when that thing kicks off and starts rattling, you know, it's not breaking your eardrums. And then over here, we'll stop it short. This wall is going to be 12 feet high so that we can come out with a wide angle lens, and you're still just seeing wood. You're not seeing the girts and all that stuff, so it'll give a lot of options for shots. We'll come along, and we're just coming out of the blacksmithing shop right here, and that wall is going to come about maybe 5 feet shy of this south wall. Now, that way I don't have to put a door in. So if we want to come in here, there'll be plenty of room for a cart. You can run a cart in, and you can come into the back, and this whole wall up to 12 feet, we can do storage shelves. So we can have paints and chemicals and all that sort of thing will be handy to access, but it's not going to be in the background in the shot. It's going to be kind of hidden back there. Just imagine it like a closet. And this running short right here, we don't have to put a door in or anything. It'll just be easy access. You don't have to fight a threshold or anything. And if you just need to get stuff out of your way and just kind of park it temporarily, it'll be a good place to do it. Plus, you know, imagine the wood storage back there, kind of like Home Depot. So we'll have all of our 2x and 1x materials for projects and all of that up here standing upright, so it's not going to be warped, and it's going to be in here nice and getting dry and ready to use for projects. Blacksmithing, saw filing, closet entrance. Now this is important to keep all this open. We have a 12x12 door here. This is where we're going to want to leave all this open because this is where we're going to want to work on our vehicles. Oil changing, rotating tires, working on the tractors, fixing things. We want to be able to pull in here out of the weather and not have anything on that back wall that's going to give you any problems. So there's plenty of room here. We'll have 35 feet or so. You could even pull in a big trailer, dirt bikes and all that, and you've got just a big, nice clear space right here to either park your vehicle in. I'll probably keep the adventure van in here until we get the pole barn built, but we'll just definitely keep that open for whatever need be. And then the only thing left is on this back wall here. The west wall will be kind of dual purpose. So I'll probably put a shelving very similar to this, but instead of 8 feet, I'll probably do a 6 feet where your commonly used items, your car wash stuff, your your vacuums, your shop vacs, the things that you kind of do to maintain and take care of your vehicles. And one thing that takes up a ton of space, especially for content creators, and you need a bazillion plugs, is managing all of your camera equipment, video equipment, and lighting. Those lights are really big that I use, and they have great big tripods on them, and they're huge. They take up a ton of space, and they're always in the way. So this area right here is going to be dedicated pretty much for video equipment. Spend a lot of time charging batteries, and you need to have a really big fiddle table for that sort of thing. And so it also needs to be close to your shop. So when I'm coming into the shop, I'm doing one of two things. I'm either going to the vise and working with the vise and the hand tools on something, or I'm sitting down, video equipment, cameras, lenses, charging batteries, sound equipment. So across here, we'll put a nice big bench with a whole bunch of outlets. Outlets, I mean, I don't know, 40 of them. So it's amazing how many outlets you need. But just imagine I have all my lights and tripods and everything on rollers, rolling everything and storing it on this back wall. And then over here, you've got maybe your floor jacks, you've got your floor jack, your jack stands, the things that you're going to use over there, maybe even your roll-around tool cart, my yellow toolbox for doing maintenance and equipment. So it's not too far from the bench, but it's not too far from the vehicle either. So that's kind of the layout that I'm planning on. And that's it. I mean, that's kind of the plan. And I'm sorry, it's probably a little bit boring for you guys, but it's important to take the time and make sure you think everything through and think about what it's going to be like. You know, what are you going to do if you have 16-foot 2x6s that you're bringing in from the lumber yard? How do you arrange your shop in a way that you come in and have a place to offload those or cut them to length quickly without, you know, weaving through and all, just a lot of different things to think about with laying out these shops. So that's where we're at right now. It's just a matter of we're bringing stuff over, and I had to really nail this down. Now I'm ordering the material, so we'll order the lumber package to do all the framing, and we'll do all that together. Then we'll run all the electrical. I'm going to run all the electrical on the surface. I like the metal boxes with the conduit. It's nice if you want to change circuits, and I think it looks nice, and it's just tough. It's a good way to do it. And I always thought it has that nice commercial look, industrial look on it. So that's it. So it's Friday. I'm going to load up the trailer, go back, get another load, maybe even bring that air compressor in here. Thank God that tomorrow's the Sabbath. We have a day off, so we'll get to have some well-needed rest. And, well, I guess that's it. So we'll see you guys on Sunday. Thanks for watching. Please keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families, and we'll see you guys on the next video.